Good evening. Today is December 26th. Yep. So, hope you had a good Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate. Today's the first day of Kwanzaa. I had a good time with family, friends, or yourself, or just time to chill, eat, and have a good time. I had a decent, my weekend was chill. I worked, but I did get to see some family this weekend and Christmas Eve. So overall, it was a good time. So I wanted to talk about something that I feel a lot of people could possibly relate to or could be experiencing. I know I'm experiencing it, which is elevation that involves separation. And this can be in different forms. So I'm going to read a couple of different excerpts that I found and then, like I always do, dissect it and close it out. So the first one, I saw this on Pinterest and I posted it earlier. Well, it's just what I posted earlier was just the quotation of elevation requires separation, right? Or elevation will sometimes require separation. So I'm going to read what this excerpt says. Elevation requires separation. Life is full of distractions, and being able to separate yourself from these distractions is key to elevate yourself one step closer to your dreams. It is our human nature to get comfortable and complacent sometimes. Once you can separate yourself from certain things, you will notice other areas of your life begin to improve because you can give them more of your energy and focus. The key is to figure out what things you need to let go of. So I feel that right now, as I'm elevating in my career and academically, because I'm about to enter my last semester of grad school and I'll be graduating. So I'm definitely elevating career, financially, and just status wise. And that's going to require me to make more, conscious, mature decisions on the way that I choose to live my life here on out, as far as just certain goals, like just how I'm going to accomplish certain goals, whether it be like purchasing a home and stuff like that. Is just going to require more discipline. And it doesn't necessarily, I guess separation doesn't necessarily, in that case, doesn't have to be from a person. It could just be from a lifestyle, and having and separating from an old mindset and old habits too, like it says in the excerpt that I just read. It's, we can get comfortable and complacent, but that's what you have to separate from. Separate yourself from things that no longer serve you, and separate yourself from mindsets that no longer serve you. Just consistently working to improve your life and giving your energy and focus to things that will help you accomplish the goals that you have for your next step and within your elevation. So it doesn't always have to be a bad separation. It could be separating from things that just weren't helpful to you as well. But it's also important to be able to look at your life and look at the way you live, the way you talk, the way you eat, the people that you interact with, and whether you are living in a life of distractions, and figuring out what things need to stay and what needs to go. And then also how to do so. Because like it says, the key is to figure out what things you need to let go of. Like I say, sometimes pack light, you don't want to be bag lady, bag man, just carrying and holding on to everything that you should have let go of. Because, part of your growth spiritually, and even if you aren't growing spiritually, just if you are in tune, religiously and like spiritually, you'll know that God will tell you when something's good for you and when it's not for you, what is for you and what isn't for you. And you have to be able to practice discernment to recognize those things and separate yourself from them and let it go, right? In order to get yourself to elevate. If not, you will be comfortable and complacent, which equals stagnation, which does not equal growth, and keeps you in a repeated cycle of bad decisions and choices and habits, and doesn't necessarily bring you fulfillment or happiness. It just keeps you stuck, and nobody really wants to be stuck because your life is meant to be improved consistently. So just, be cautious of where we are, especially, I guess my point of bringing this up was not only just for the personal reason, but as we end this year and go into the new year, just kind of taking the time to reflect on where you are in life, the people that that are in your life, and goals that you have for yourself, and things that you might need to leave behind in 2021, or people that you might need to leave behind, or habits, or you get my drift. Like, you're just kind of reviewing things that, do they still serve you or not? And if not, then you have to let it go. So another thing I was going to read, I had a couple of things actually. So when you talk about elevation requires separation, this is by Barbara DeGongi. I don't know who that is, but let me read what it says. Evolution is a constant in life. If you're open to it, that is. As we go through life, we grow through life in a particular direction. You'll notice for some people that this trajectory is linear, predictable, unchanging, fixed. They may have some minor changes, but in general, they're the same person playing and vibing on the same level. They may be comfortable. They may tell you they're genuinely happy or content. For others, the only thing that will be fixed is their preoccupation on self-awareness and self-improvement. They may not even know which direction they're heading, but what they do know is they must evolve. They must be greater than they were yesterday. For these people, our habits will change, our patterns will change, our routines will change, our interests will change. Our core beliefs and values will deepen or even change. What we choose to invest in alters. When this happens, the people, places, and activities we were involved with suddenly don't feel right anymore. We tend to distance from the things we were once familiar with. We separate from the things we are no longer in alignment with. Elevation requires separation. Separation from our old selves, our old lives, our old habits. It's not always easy, but it's necessary. Luckily, if you're the latter type of person, you'll evolve with people who elevate themselves and who elevate you. You'll elevate with those who hold the same values as you, and everything and everyone else will naturally fade away, as it should. After all, you have to be who you need to be, and everyone else has to too. So, I definitely gonna dissect that. Just wanted to read the whole thing. So, evolution is a constant in life. It's if you're open to it. I wholeheartedly believe this and support this. Like I said, life is, if you choose to allow yourself to evolve spiritually, allow yourself to experience the lessons, allow yourself to be uncomfortable and to go into new territory and continuously to grow into your higher self. That's what I believe. So as we go through life, we grow, GROW, through life in a particular direction. So, I'm just reading back what it said. All right, so I'll talk about the first part. So you'll notice for some people that this trajectory is linear, predictable, unchanging, fixed. They may have some minor changes, but in general, they're the same person playing and vibing on the same level. They may be comfortable. They may tell you they're genuinely happy or content. Okay, so that person, not me. No shade to anyone who is like that, but I personally get I can't do stagnancy. I need to have change. And I definitely don't resonate with this. And so, okay, so when it's saying, about just the same person playing and vibing on the same level, I think that person possibly can do that for a couple of reasons. They don't want to step out of the comfort zone. They're afraid of the lessons that they'll have to learn and experience. They are scared of the unknown, and it's easier to stay where it's comfortable in the same rhythm versus trying something new, or doing things differently, in a more mature way. Or again, like, elevation requires separation, but elevation also requires more responsibility. And some people just don't want to be responsible. They don't want to do what they need, what they're supposed to do. So that could be, the reason. But I feel like if you're doing that, I don't see how you're genuinely happy. I feel like you're lying to yourself. And typically those people tend to not have relationships that last long, whether it be friendships or romantic relationships. Because, if you are someone like that who just likes to stay in the same level, the same vibe, be comfortable, right? You're going to eventually probably come across people who are the opposite of that, who want to grow. And once you get to know someone and they are trying to introduce you to that growth, that person probably will, close up, become distant, because that's not what they want to do. They don't want to grow. They want to stay in the same comfortable level. So I feel like eventually that person, they just can't maintain relationships, because once it hits that peak of the other person, pushing for or opening up the door of growth, they shy away and have to start new. Those are the type of people that have to, they consistently have a bunch of new relationships and, new friendships, that always go for a certain amount of time, and then something happens that ends it. It's usually like some form of growth or something that made them uncomfortable because it required a new version of them that they didn't want to tap into. So I don't feel like they're necessarily genuinely happy. I think that they're happy when they're comfortable in their space, but living a life like that where you have to keep running from yourself essentially is not necessarily something that I would say is happy or content. It's temporary. It's like temporary highs. So for the other person, which I feel like I resonate with, it's the only thing that will be fixed is their preoccupation on self-awareness and self-improvement. They may not even know which direction they're heading, but what they do know is they must evolve. For sure. I feel like I talked about that. Stepping into the unknown and not really knowing what the next thing holds, but that you can't stay here. And I know for me that I get that feeling when I'm just it's like how for my job, now I'm gonna I start tomorrow, so I'm excited for my new job, start tomorrow. But my other job, I the first year it was working out and it was working for me, and even this year, the second year, it worked for as long as it did. But once I I don't know, it was like a feeling. Like once I went back into the office and like into the school, something was like, you can't stay here. Like I can't stay here past this semester. And it's funny, like when I went there in September, I was telling myself by the end of that September, I was like, I have to get out of here I said to myself, like, I created a little plan for myself. I was like, all right, I'm going to stay just because I don't want to leave in the middle of the semester, just because I was seeing how crazy this semester was for me with schoolwork. So I was like, all right, either I'm going to leave like in the middle of December or try to like time it so that it's towards the end of the term for the students, so that way I can just have a smooth transition without leaving in the middle of their schooling. And lo and behold, that's literally how it went, right? So, but my point was that, you know, every time I went to that school, it was like an overwhelming feeling of like, you got to get out of here. This is, you're done with this. And not in a way because somebody did something wrong or anything. It was just, it wasn't serving me. I felt like I wasn't living in my purpose. I felt like I consistently had a feeling of I can be doing more. And not more in the sense of like, oh, I just want to be preoccupied with work. It was more like, I'm meant to be doing more than, I feel like I've done what I was supposed to do here. I've, you know, reached the students that I did, you know, the staff. I made changes within my position. You know, I did what I was supposed to do over the summer. And, you know, as I'm just the year, I was just going into the new year of 2022. I just knew that I wasn't supposed to be there anymore. And I was supposed to be, you know, in this new position that's going to give me, you know, just new experience. And it's practicing what I've been studying in school as far as like management skills and all that stuff. So I knew that I was supposed to be doing what I was in school for before I graduated versus like trying to do it after I graduated. I knew I for some reason, and I still, obviously I don't know yet, there's a reason why I'm starting it now, so that by the time I graduate, something else is going to be coming up. I don't know yet. Stay tuned. That's just what I feel, right? So I just had that overwhelming feeling of the self-awareness that you need to evolve, you need to go, you need to leave. You know, it was just like consistently. And there was a point when I was doing interviews, wasn't getting any callbacks. I was getting frustrated. And the ones that I did have the callbacks for, it didn't work out. I don't know if I told you guys that, how I had an interview for this job that was a phone interview. And I really wanted to work there. Bad. Like I was like, oh, this is a place I've always been trying to get into ever since like undergrad. And I had a phone interview. I thought it went really well. And they told me that a certain day that they were going to contact me, and they let me know that, you know, they're not going to move forward. And I was so devastated. Like I was really devastated. And then literally that same day that they told me no is the day that I got an email from the job that I'm about to start. And when I read it, I was like, I was like happy because honestly, I was happy, but I was looking at it as like, all right, well, whatever. I'll just, you know, do the interview for this job and see what happens type of thing. Because I was still kind of hung up, not necessarily hung up, but still trying to process the one that I thought I had really wanted. And I remember even going into the interview, like, all right, I did my research as I always do, and just was like, whatever, see what happens. Because I was, at that time, I started getting more calls for other interviews too, for other jobs. So I never really was banking on this job. And so, you know, as it went on, it was like more and more my interest was peaking, and I was just really invested in it. So, and then I ended up landing it. And so I know it's going to push me in a direction to allow me to evolve and improve. So, you know, coming back to what we were talking about, I hope I didn't go on a tangent and not make sense. I guess my point was just like how being in that job, it allowed me to tap into my self-awareness and my higher self to be like, you're done with this. And not in a negative way, but like you've served your purpose here. It's time to move on. So And talking about the second type of person, right? This is the person that wants to evolve. So they must be greater than they were yesterday. So for these people, your habits have to change, your patterns change, your routines change, your interests, core beliefs and values deepen or even change. So I feel like that, again, I resonate with that because I'm not consistently, like every day, looking for ways to change. But I feel like the more and more I'm in tune with myself, the more I'm able to recognize when something no longer serves me and learning how to detach from that. And detach doesn't have to be like, all right, drop it, don't ever speak to me again, or don't ever do this again, but more so like, wow, okay, let me take the time to reflect on the good that it served and why it no longer is serving me, at least in this stage of my life, and whether or not it's something that I can keep on the back burner or, come back to, or if it's something that I have to completely let it go. And honestly, I feel like anything that you have to let go, if you have the urge to do so, then do it. And if it's meant to be, it'll come back around, So it might not be conducive to where you are at this moment, and it might be more conducive to something that you go to the next step, maybe, right? Or if it's a person, maybe this person can't help you in this season, but once you do whatever you need to do by yourself in this season and they come back around, that's where they fit in. So just being able to be okay with having to let things go and evolve. Never hold yourself back out of fear of losing someone or something, or just feeling like you don't know if you should go forward or not. Like, just do it. I hope I made sense of that. But the other part, it says what we choose to invest in alters, for sure. I feel like your interest and what you dedicate your time and your energy to as you evolve, that changes. Maybe certain activities or things that were interesting to you or that you participated in no longer serve you. When I think of that, I think of like alcohol or, smoking, or possibly just meaningless relationships like hooking up or something, or even just like foods or your diet or just a way of living. Maybe you were pretty like lazy, or you just kind of didn't plan things, and now as you elevate and be more mature and in tune with yourself and elevate yourself, that you're making more smarter choices for your life, healthier choices, stuff like that. So it's not always easy, but it's necessary, as it says here. And when this happens, the people, places, and activities we were involved with suddenly don't feel right anymore. I definitely can agree with that. Like I was saying, like when I was in the school, I was just like, I don't feel good here. Not saying I don't feel good here, but I wasn't feeling it, like the more and more I was going to that school, the more and more I couldn't even stay actually physically in the school. I was like leaving early, and I felt like I wasn't being productive in my work, because I just felt like it wasn't serving me anymore. I said leaving early, like, just going, like before I would stay for lunch, and any chance I got to go to lunch outside, I would just go, just to get out of the school. So out of that environment. And it just wasn't, like I wasn't in a place that I wanted to feel like that anymore. It was like, again, that urge to move on. So, also what it says here, separation from our old selves, our old lives, our old habits. So again, like I said, recognizing when you have grown, I feel like the universe will put you through tests. When you're being tested, stay 10 toes down and trust in yourself, trust in the universe that it's all for a reason. You're built for this, and get through the test so that you can get the reward. And that usually involves, separating yourself from your old selves and your old habits. So if you are the latter person, you'll evolve with people who elevate themselves and who elevate you. You'll elevate with those who hold the same values as you. I feel like that's something that is I'm still trying to figure out. Is like, I feel like I do have people that are elevating as well and have the same values as far as like friends and stuff, but it's not easy, I feel, to find that in relationship aspect, not necessarily. I also feel like everything in your life is a purpose. Like certain seasons are a purpose. Like you might not be meeting people that are on your level for a reason, because God needs you to complete something on your own first, and having people to date and stuff like that are on your level could distract you or deter you from your goals, or at least maybe not even distract you or deter you from your goals, but it can throw you off your timeline. You know what I mean? Like, if you think about it, if you're a man or a woman who feels like, oh, I'm ready to be in a relationship and get married and have kids and stuff, but you might not be done with school yet, or you might not have found your career job yet. If you were to meet the person now, before you have those things, what if it delays you from, what if you end up getting pregnant or something like that, or you end up marrying that person, but it deters you from completing that same goal that you still have? Like, what if you don't finish school on time, like, because now you're pregnant, or you're not focused on getting that job as much because you're married and you're feeling comfortable. You know what I mean? So you sometimes have to go through those seasons where it feels like you're elevating, but you can't seem to find another person who's elevating too. It doesn't mean that it's not going to happen for you. It's just you are in a stage where God needs you to himself, and you need to do these things by yourself. You need to tap into who you are and get to know the higher you first before you can present it to the person. Not everybody, but sometimes. It's just, again, we all have different paths, different things that we have to accomplish in life, and everything's happening the way it's supposed to. I can't explain it. I can't define it. I don't even know why it's happening in my life, so I can't even, give you an explanation for yours. All I can say is that that's what I feel, is that it happens the certain way for a reason. The other part, everything and everyone else will naturally fade away, as it should. And that's another thing, is like allowing people and things to fade away. Don't try to hold on. Don't try to figure out why it's no longer working or anything like that. It's all for a reason. And the more that you muddle with it, the more you're going to end up delaying your time. So you don't want to do that. So just let things be. As hard as it can be sometimes, you just have to really let things be. And it says, after all, you have to be who you need to be, and everyone else has to too. And you have to remember that, like, yeah, you might be that person who's like, oh, I don't want to let this person go, or I'm sad that they can't go with me to the next step. But guess what? Like, you gotta step back and think, like, okay, but would this person do the same thing for me? Because I feel like a lot of times people, usually when you're that type of person who's like, oh, I don't want them to, or I don't want to leave them behind, or I don't understand why they can't go with me, that same person probably would leave you in a heartbeat to go to the next level. So it's like always thinking of, always don't forget to put yourself first. And again, everything's going to happen the way it's supposed to for your benefit. The less you resist, the more easy it is for everything to come about the way it needs to be for your life, right? So again, elevation requires separation. Allow yourself to separate from whatever or whoever you need to in order to elevate and reach your higher self. So the last thing I was going to say, okay, so it says, you may not end up where you thought you were going, but you will always end up where you were meant to be. So that's my closing out message, is that, again, like, allow yourself to elevate, allow yourself to go through the separation, reflect this year. If you can't make a vision board, I'm gonna try to make one. I have one still from 2019 that was supposed to be for 2020, and I did not do those things on there. We all know why. Come on. But I did some stuff. I didn't do the traveling part, but I did some stuff. So I want to make another one though. So for 2022, because I've been telling people, like, I feel like 2022 is about to be really good for me. It's just a lot is going to happen, a lot of change, a lot of accomplishments, a lot of things are just coming together. Things are going to be coming together. I've seen like a lot of things where it says like 2021 was where you learn to be strong, and 2022 is where you get to have peace and like your joy, not necessarily for everyone, but it's just, I don't know. I just have a good feeling about 2022. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good regardless, because you got to make it good for you. You got to make it work for you. So, like I said, you will always end up where you're meant to be. Just allow God to do his thing with your life. I had posted a book that's called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. And I started like the first couple pages, but I haven't been able to read it just because I've been busy this weekend, but so far it's good. I would definitely recommend it. And I'm going to try to get back to doing that too, like sharing books that I find or have read, all that jazz. So overall, I hope you guys have a great start to your week. Good week. This is the last week of December, the last week of 2021. So I will do a New Year's episode. It won't be on New Year's. It'll be like that Sunday. So I hope that you guys be safe and have a good New Year's, whatever it is that you end up doing. I don't know what there is to really do, especially with cases and stuff rising and things mostly being shut down. But whatever it is you choose to do, be safe, have fun, enjoy yourself. Go into the new year right, and it doesn't have to start on the 31st. Like, start today. You can start, this week. Just reflect. Like I said, just reflect on making sure you're going into 2022 with a clean heart, clean chakra, good karma. I say that a lot on my Twitter, but I mean it. Clean your chakras, clear your chakras, meditate, tap into yourself, write. Like I always tell you guys, write things down to manifest it. Write using sticky notes or notepads or whatever on your phone, whatever, like Notes, the app. Just write things down, manifest what you want for next year, and your plans, so that, you can follow through with it and get what you want, what your heart desires, and not only write it down or, say it out loud, but really believe it. Believe it until it comes about. And even before it comes about, you have to believe in it, So that's all I have. I hope that this resonated, and that you got some kind of message out of it to, just allow, if you feel that urge, as I did, not necessarily to quit your job, but like just that, hey, this no longer serves me, or, this relationship is not working anymore. It doesn't even necessarily have to be working, but it's not doing it for me. It's not pushing me. I'm not elevating with this, not growing with this. It's really okay to step away, separate from it, because you have to always look out for you. And again, just make sure you're staying on a good path to consistently keep growing and evolving to your higher self, right? So that's all I have. I'm going to close out. I'm your host, Chanel. This is Black Hippie Lounge. As always, meditate, manifest, invest in you. Have a great week. Happy New Year. And I will talk to you soon. Meditate, manifest, invest in you. Join me on my spiritual journey as I elevate myself and like-minded listeners to a higher level mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for listening. This is Black Hippie Lounge, and I am your host, Chanel.